three Roman emperors, okay, belonging to the Flavian dynasty, and its original name is Flavian Amphitheater. Okay, Colosseum is just a nickname given to the monument in the 7th century after Christ. Anyway, Flavian Amphitheater. Amphitheater because of its round floor plan. Okay, it's an amphitheater. Flavian because built by three emperors belonging to the Flavian dynasty. Okay, according to tradition, built between 72 and 80 AD. Okay, 1st century after Christ. They took just 8 years to build it. Okay, consider that, as I said, its original external architecture was made up by 3 tiers of arches, 80 for each one of the story, and the attic in masonry, and 76 arches on the ground level were the entrances to the commoners. Okay, they were consecutively numbered, as you have seen, right on top, from 1 to 76. The other 4 private, they were for the VIP senators, magistrates, consul, and the special guests. And they were fairly bigger than the classical, surmounted by 4 horses marble chariots. Okay, and they were located in the north, south, east, and west. Thanks to the 76 public entrances, come closer to me, guys, just a little bit. Thanks to the 76 public entrances, so many people could enter the monument in a small amount of time. According to the tradition, the Colosseum held, let's call it Colosseum, okay? Later on I'll tell you why the monument is called Colosseum. According to art historians, the stadium held between 50 and 87,000 people. Okay, the second largest of Rome after the Circus Maximus for chariot races. Consider that. Can you see this statue, guys? It's made of bronze and approximately as tall as the monument. Okay, we have to bear in mind that the area before the building of the Flavian Amphitheater was occupied by a lake. Okay, just an artificial pool which was part of Nero's residence. Nero, famous Roman emperor. Okay, Nero also, and the lake was approximately nearby the entryway of Nero's residence. Nero wanted to embellish the entryway by building a colossal statue made of bronze. Now, colosso in Italian means big. Okay. Anyway, the statue was placed, nearby the lake, facing, the lake. But afterwards, Nero died, and the Flavian Amphitheater built in the place of the pool. Okay, but the statue kept on standing in the same position for other centuries. After the building of the Flavian Amphitheater, the statue was almost, as I said, almost as tall as the monument, and the head crowned with 7 star rays, each one of which 21 feet long. Then in the 7th century AD, during one of the numerous sects of barbarians, the statue was torn down and melted for better use by barbarians. That's why the citizens of Rome started to call this, the Flavian Amphitheater, Colosseum, just to remember the colossal statue which stood nearby the Flavian Amphitheater. Okay, this is the reason of the name given to the monument, Flavian Amphitheater. The Auditorium, you can partly see the arena from here. Anyway, the Auditorium was made up by tiers of seats, okay, which climb from the oval of the arena, because the arena it's an oval and not a round, okay? Oval of the arena up to the balconies. The auditorium was divided into 5 sectors, and the seats were assigned according to Roman social ranks. Elementary school teachers, Roman knights, public guests, etc. The only exception to this rule was the tiers of seats, entirely built in marble. The others were built in travertine. This is marble. Travertine is more porous. Okay. The only exception to this rule was the tiers of seats entirely built in marble and reserved for the the senatorial order. Look at. This is the Senate balcony. This one right here, guys. Senate balcony, entirely recreated by archaeologists using the original marble slabs. Senators' names were engraved, in a slab of marble, okay? But whenever they needed to remove a senator, whenever a senator was fired out, okay, the name was roughly cancelled out, and the thickness of the seat changed over time due to the selling away of the name of the early occupant. But the seat, very few marble seats were left because they were removed and reused as a filling materials or burned in landfills. Okay. The arena, as I said, it's an oval, and once entirely covered by a wooden flooring which has naturally completely disappeared. Okay, it has partially been reconstructed to show its original appearance. The supporting walls are still visible below the wooden flooring, and the corridors down there housed all the services necessary for the games. Lifting mechanisms, for raising up the wild animals, cages for the animals, and stage sets like fake trees, fake hills, just to recreate the wilderness. Okay, consider that the animals were kept down there in the dark and hungry to make them more aggressive. Then the animals were goaded, out of their cages and made enter to a dimension indeed activated by counterweights. Okay. Then the animals, as you can see on this picture, ran up into the open air by means of wooden ramps. Okay. They used to run up into the open air by means of wooden ramps where the hunters were waiting. Okay. Then also strong wire metal nets all around the arena protected the spectators. And rotating rollers carved from elephant tusks that rotated like this horizontally were attached. Not visible in this video, were attached on top of the net, so that if the animals attempt to climb the fence, they were not able to get a grip on it because of the rollers. They would fall back down into the arena. As a last resort, if they manage sometime, the animals managed to leap into the crowds of spectators, a team of archers all around the arena itself was at the ready to kill the animals. Okay. This was built mainly for the housing of two games, Gladiators Combat and Wild Animal Hunt. Okay, Wild Animal Hunt took place in the morning and gave rise to great enthusiasm in the Roman people because of the great variety of animals involved in the spectacle. Panthers, lions, tigers, ferocious. But the number of animals to kill and hunt grew with time because after the conquest of new territories, even exotic animals were added to the spectacles. Crocodile, hippopotamus, rhinoceros. The hunter gladiators were professionals. They wore a simple linen tunic, and they fought with long pointed lance. Okay, and they acted, in the arena, made to look like, the wilderness. Okay, that was a fairly dangerous profession because many actors, many gladiators were torn from limb to limb because not always was their skill and acrobatic prowess enough to save them from the attack of the distance. Okay, and the Gladiators Combat took place right on the afternoon. Okay, the day of the show began with a magnificent parade. Okay, the sponsor of the games, sponsor I mean those who paid, those who financed the game, followed the lictors, musicians with the trumpets, and sign bearers. Okay, carry notice explaining the reasons of the death sentences for those to be executed. Gladiators in pairs, hunter gladiators condemned to death. The sharpness of the fighter's arms was controlled before each one of the combat. Anyway, combat could be of two types, without grace, or rather one which always ended with the death of one of the two contenders, okay? Or a grace might be granted, okay? For example, if one of the two was wounded or knocked down, he laid down the sword like this, and raised the index finger on its left hand to ask the emperor the grace. If the emperor chose, like this, tap down, not to concede, the gladiator down there was executed. Okay. Gladiators Combat, while hunting games, but according to art historians, the executions of condemned to death took place right on the arena, because the Romans conceived the idea of introducing the punishment of being eaten by ferocious animals as an efficient way of punishing the most dangerous criminals. Okay? They were tied to posters and being eaten. Okay? Gladiators were normally the fighters, were commonly called gladiators because the sword fairly short and wide. That was called gladium. That's why fighters were called gladiators. Okay, they were slaves, just slaves or condemned to death, and prisoners of war. Sometimes free men or young aristocrats from families in decline who were affected by the illusion of getting wealth and authority quickly, but mostly slaves and condemned to death. Just behind us, guys, there is something really interesting.